Good morrow, scholars. Welcome back to Witch and Wizard. How are you guys today? Ow. Ow. Okay, let's put you away. I have problems. Anyway, we are in chapter 91. Wisty, I think. Get away from me. Page 260. You guys having a good day? I haven't been awake that long. I went to bed kind of late and then did want to get out of bed. Anyway. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. One thought haunted me as the guard shoved me against the bars and went to open the door. Even if Sasha had tricked us, the fact that I'd failed these kids, I'd failed Emmett, I'd failed Margo, I'd failed Whit, I'd failed my parents. For the second time that day, I cried like a baby. But then the most remarkable thing happened. One of the kids, an emaciated little girl inside the cell, touched my arm through the bars and tried to cheer me up. Don't cry. Remember, they're doing all this because they're scared. They're afraid of you. They're afraid of all of us. What do you mean? They know we can change everything. They know we have the power to fight back. Shut up, you little piece of dirt, one guard barked at her like a hellhound. The girl didn't even flinch. Which got me thinking. Here she was, emaciated and oppressed, to the brink of death. A veritable Michael Clancy, and yet she had enough strength to comfort me. She had given me the strength to hope. Maybe I had just a flicker of faith inside me too, that 1% chance of survival that I'd hung on to so fiercely earlier. They're afraid of you. They're afraid of all of us. I turned to my hellhound guards as they manhandled me toward the now open cell door and heard myself yell like a girl possessed. Freeze! They laughed, and one of them clouded me over the head with a nightstick. Stars danced in my vision, and I went limp. What was going on? I couldn't hear the guards. I was no longer being dragged, and the kids in the cell were staring open-mouthed like they'd just seen Santa Claus come down the chimney. Yes. Yes, some magic had worked. The guards were frozen. With some minor straining of my wrists and elbows, I managed to pry myself loose from their stone-like grip. It was still a long, long way to freedom. I stared up at the winking red light of the security camera that was even now swiveling toward me. I knew how many hundreds of guards and dozens of steel doors I was going to have to get past to reach, who knew, how many hundreds of guards and dozens of steel doors I was going to have to get past to reach outside. And not just me, but my big fat conscience too. After all, these kids in my open cell could come with me, but what about all the hundreds of other haunted, pitiful faces looking at me in wonder through the bars of nearby cells, and the ones on the next level, and in the next cell block? I took the master key from the belt of one of the frozen guards and moved down to the adjacent cell. You guys want to get out of here or what? I yelled down the cell block. My question was rewarded with hundreds of heartbreakingly hopeful cheers. I quickly made my way along the balcony, unlocking each cell as I went. Then a siren began to wail, and about 20 guards stormed into the cell block. Chapter 92. The jackbooted bullies forged into the crowd of children I'd released from their cells, swinging clubs and firing stun guns with unfathomable cruelty. The sight of 200-pound-plus guards manhandling, beating, and hurting children, some of them a quarter their size, is something I will have nightmares about for the rest of my life. At the time, it sickened me almost past the point of outrage. Every cell in my body seemed to boil with anger, and then whoosh, and I mean whoosh, familiar 2, 3, and 4 feet flames once again swirled around me. The flame girl strikes back. I would have said again, but whatever. Still, it wouldn't have made a lick of difference had I not had a massive stroke of luck right then. The lucky strike was that I was right under a smoke alarm, and time was, the people in charge of What? The people in charge of the world actually put a value on human life and put in a safety precaution so that not everybody in the prison would die in a massive fire. The new order in taking over a jail that had been created by society, a society based on fairness and justice, had neglected to realize that the fire alarms in the prison automatically opened all of the interior doors, including the doors to the cells themselves. Sorry. What is up with my hair? Where was I? And so, as the smoke alarm added its siren wail to the cacophony all around us, I charged the guards, leaving fiery footprints everywhere I stepped. I had to lead these kids out of here, and that meant I had to clear a path. The guards didn't put up much resistance. I charged down the hallway after them all the way to the next cell block before they met with reinforcements and tried to stand their ground. One guard was shouting orders into a walkie-talkie. The others had stun guns and nightsticks at the ready. I took a deep breath and remembered what the kid had said. They're afraid of all of us. Well, they clearly were at least a little afraid of a furious 15-year-old firebrand flying toward them with her arms spread wide, screeching like a total maniac. A fire really, really hurts, and I'm a bad, scary witch. I burst right through their ranks, not even a little upset by the shouting as their clothes caught on fire, yelling, "Stop, drop, and roll, you idiots!" I dashed into the next cell block. "Everybody out! Out!" I screamed at the kids there as well as those from the last block who had been following me, sensibly, at a safe distance. "Fire! Everyone get out right now! See that stairwell there? That's the way out." I was actually starting to feel a little scared myself. This was the longest I'd ever stayed on fire. Was there a point of no return from being charbroiled? I couldn't think about it now, because suddenly hundreds of skinny, dirty, terrified kids were pouring past me, and them I didn't want to catch on fire. Should have had more water. Chapter 93. Whit. 266. After we dropped off the kids at Garfunkel's, we decided to bypass death by subway and take a different route back to the prison. True to my word, I avoided directions from Emmett at all costs. This time, Margo was my co-pilot. We were in the van alone. The others would meet us close to the prison gates. I'd done a pretty successful abracadabra on the van before we left, turning it an uneven shade of dark blue with Idaho license plates. But that wasn't the only big change. A short time ago, I'd looked like I was about 30 years old. Then I'd changed back to a teenager with no warning, right as I was going up the stalled escalator at Garfunkel's. It had made me trip and fall down several steps. Very uncool. As Margo and I headed back to the prison, I thought about that and wondered, has Wisty suddenly changed back into herself also? Has the spell simply worn out? I had no idea where she was, what she was doing, or what form she'd be when I found her. Flat as a pancake, maybe? Or with one or two limbs, the rest left behind in a spring-action mousetrap? "You look worried, Whit," Margo said, with a concerned glance my way. "Well, yeah," I said in a more of a no-duh kind of voice than I'd intended. "Aren't you?" "Yes and no," Margo said, surprising me. I mean, sure, anything could happen, but I mean, this is my life now. It's what I do. No parents, no brothers or sisters left. I have nothing to lose, really. And I have everything to gain by helping these kids and your mom and dad. I sat in stunned silence, then said, "I'm sorry." I actually couldn't remember the last time I'd uttered those words with any real meaning. And I wasn't exactly sure why I said them now, but it felt right. "Don't be sorry, Whit. I'm no big hero," Margo scoffed. "It's heroic to face your own pain, and you're the one who's facing that right now. I get it. You have a sister you love in there. You have parents who are wanted, dead or alive, in there. Their love of your life is dead, but still haunting you. Oh, yeah. And I hear you're due to be executed on your birthday." Well, actually, I said with a weak smile, they revised the order to execute me immediately. So when is your birthday anyway? She asked. Wow, I wasn't really sure. Time had felt warped, and with all the portals we traveled through, time actually was warped. I looked at Margo in surprise. I think it already happened. Well, how about that? Margo said with a rare smile, and you didn't even get to celebrate. She continued to grin, her brown eyes shining brightly, and sucked in a deep breath. I knew a wind up, I don't know, to a song when I saw one. Don't you dare, I protested, but she went on gleefully. Man. Huh. Sorry, I'm having flashbacks to my birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. This sounds a lot like my birthday. Happy birthday, dear Whit. She trailed off as her gaze shifted past me, and then she frowned. What's that? There in the top of the windows of the main building. I jerked the van to a sudden stop. It's flames. The prison is on fire. Oh, Wisty, what have you done? Chapter 94. Wisty. Get out, I shouted. Get out of here now. Fire! The kids pattered barefoot down the metal stairs, most of them unable to take their eyes off me. One of them finally squeaked. But the guards... Forget the guards, I screamed with a new level of hysteria that I didn't know I had in me. The guards are afraid of you. They're afraid of me. They're afraid of everything. A new burst of energy surged through the kids. As soon as I saw the first one reach... As soon as the first one reached the ground floor, I pointed toward the main doors, careful not to get too close to any of them. More New Order guards began arriving now, billy clubs out, but I rushed straight at them, arms open. They drew back as if I were the plague. Stay where you are, I warned them. Come near me and I won't give you a choice between regular and extra crispy. By now waves of kid prisoners were pushing through the main exit, escaping right underneath a huge portrait of the one who is the one. It occurred to me that I didn't even know if Whit and the others were waiting outside. Out! Out! I shouted, my voice hoarse now. I was starting to feel a little hot and crackly, and I hoped I wasn't cooked extra crispy myself. Flames started to lick around the office doorway, and then the whole room was ablaze. I left a stream of several fires in my wake. With any luck, after the kids got out, this hideous prison would burn to the ground. It seemed to take forever for the last kids to get through the hallway and then out the doors as the guards avoided the flames in terror or tried to extinguish their own personal infernos. Meanwhile, I was getting so hot that it didn't seem out of the realm of possibility that I might explode like a piece of popcorn in a microwave. I could use some popcorn right now. By the time the last prisoner passed out the gate, the few guards who were left were ready for vengeance. They lumbered toward me, zombie-like and charred, waving their billy clubs. I warned them, or I'll burn you to cinders. Then I turned tail and raced out the exit myself, touching the walls and anything else I could reach as I went by. Streaks and handprints of fire marked my path. Cool. Hot. Then I finally saw streaks of moonlight and the outer doors ahead of me, and then, at last, the final gates. Please be there, Whit, I prayed. Please, wizard. The inner courtyard was filling rapidly with more guards and New Order soldiers. But then I heard Pfeffer barking like the hellhound she'd been trained to be. I could see her scaring the heck out of some of the guards as Margo herded the kids outside to safety. I did a fast head count. Margo, Pfeffer, Emmett, Sasha, and yes, Whit. They were all there helping the prisoners get away. I was gasping for air, feeling completely burned out, like there was nothing left of me for the fire to consume. Whit was looking all around, searching for me. Am I so unrecognizable? Then he saw me, and alarm flashed in his eyes. Fear. Like I'd never seen on his face before, not even the time he fell out of our tree and broke his leg in 2 places. I tried to run to him, but the last thing I remember was falling to my knees and hearing a most hateful voice, sorry. Wisteria Allgood, you are condemned to death, it said. I have half a mind to just leave the chapter here. Chapter 95, Whit. I gagged and choked on the smell of smoke and burning paint as more and more kids, hundreds of them, flowed out of the doors of the overworld prison. It was a beautiful sight, really. Bless Wisty, I thought. She did it. Now I just had to make sure she was safe and had found her mom and dad. Where was she? Where were they? It had seemed like forever since we'd first caught sight of the flames on the prison windows, but it had just been a few minutes. Hurry, Margo was shouting as we herded more kids through the gates in a kind of fireman's line. We've set up an escape route through the sewers, Margo yelled. I craned my neck, looking desperately for Wisty as girl or mouse, but I couldn't see her anywhere. Was she with our folks? Sorry. Or was my sister trapped inside the burning building? Had she been caught? The street outside was filled with kids who were gathered up by our second team, led by Sasha. Traffic had stopped, unable to move. Alarms were everywhere, flashing and wailing, but still no Wisty. Then the last kids burst through the doors, and I finally saw her. Totally aflame. It was different this time. Worse. She was glowing more brightly, more white-hot than I had seen before. And her wild-eyed face, her newly gaunt frame, looked weaker, closer to terror and death than I ever could have imagined. She saw me, and her face, even through the flames, sparkled with hope. But then her eyes rolled back in her head, and she dropped to the pavement like she'd been shot. Get the van, I shouted over my shoulder to Margo as I made a break toward Wisty. I'll bring Wisty. I don't think so, Wizard, came a terrible, gravely voice right behind me. Let's see. Okay, one more. 96. Wait. It was like a recurring nightmare of the worst kind. Wait. My back, why? There loomed the foul matron, swaddled in bandages and pale as chalk. Next to her was the one who judges, Ezekiel Unger, her brother, I remembered, still in his depressing black robes, looking like the Grim Reaper. I picture him being fat. Security specialists, armed with scatterguns, backed them up. Next to them stood our Jonathan. Who's Jonathan? Looking smug and complicit. Despair descended on me like a funeral shroud. It had never occurred to me that anyone from Freeland could stoop to the traitorous level of Byron Swain, but apparently Jonathan had. John? Margo gasped. Jonathan just shrugged. It's too hard and hopeless living like you do. The New Order offers a better life, he said. It beats prison and death. I believe in the one. Margo's eyes filled with angry tears. She'd made me feel stronger before, and I wanted to make her believe that everything was going to be okay, even if it really wasn't. Words sprang into my brain. I didn't know where they came from. Margo, they're afraid of us. They're afraid of everything. And then I kept on talking without really thinking until it turned into a chant. Let's see. They're afraid of change, and we must change. They're afraid of the young, and we are the young. They're afraid of music, and music is our life. They're afraid of books and knowledge and ideas. They're most afraid of our magic. Margo stared at me and sniffed, her eyes wide, but the tears were gone. I scooped up Wisty, who was unconscious and nearly weightless in my arms, and said the words again, louder and more forcefully this time. They're afraid of us. They're afraid of everything. They're afraid of change, and we must change. They're afraid of the young, and we are the young. Silence! Roared Judge Unger, his pinched beetle's face. How would that look? Turning a shade of funeral purple. Yeah. Wait till I get my hands on you again. The matron snarled at his side, her icy eyes narrowing into thin slits that wouldn't take a dime. I don't think so, matron. Not going to happen, I said. Actually, you are petrified of us, and you should be. We have the magic. You don't. The next time I spoke the words, everyone, Margo, Emmett, Janine, the prison kids, everyone but Jonathan repeated them with me. They're afraid of us, they're afraid of everything, they're afraid of change, and we must change. They're afraid of the young, and we are the young. They're afraid of... Enough! More than enough, actually. Judge Unger pounded his fist into his hand, then raised it as if he would hit me. What? The witch and wizard must be put to death at once. In my arms, my sister suddenly opened her eyes. I stared at her in amazement. Wisty's eyes had been blue before. Now they looked almost clear, like sea glass. What? Her hair was more auburn than its former red, more like our mother's. Her eyes glowed, and she tried her best to smile at me. Hey, brother. You and your sister are going to burn, right here in this prison. Judge Unger spewed powerful hatred our way. The fire's going to take care of our society's problem once and for all. You, he snapped at the security specialists, take them back into the prison and lock all the doors. They like fire, let them burn. That is my final judgment. It is the law of the land. I am the one who judges. No, came a powerful voice. Wisty's voice. Anywho. I'm going to leave that here, because I try and shoot for about 20-something minutes. I guess I could have read one more, because... Anyway, I don't know. I'm going to start uploading these. While that's going, I'm going to feed the turtles, feed Iggy, get him some water, and get me some more water. And probably something to eat. I think that's about it for all of this. Let me know if you guys have any thoughts or ideas. Or if you just feel like talking, I don't know. Anyway, until next time. Goodbye, everybody. I really need to get a poster for right there. I have a Batman poster I haven't used yet.